All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of CryptoKreamers and another episode of
Keep it simple, Bitcoin.
there we go. What's up, guys? How you doing? Anyways, I've never kind of done this before. I usually like ask my guests like what the fuck, who he is, what he's doing about. This is more like a collab. So we're just gonna talk mad shit for for whatever until we get bored. So what's up, man? How's your quarantine been?
Oh, it's been great. It's calm. It's easy. I like it. I don't mind.
Really?
I get shit done. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I got
Um,
fucking butchered, man. I lost like 60% of like my retail fucking customers. They just couldn't pay up
oh,
anymore, bro.
that's
It
terrible.
sucked
That's
balls.
terrible. Yeah, I've experienced the same thing with one of my businesses, but you gotta take it to the chin and keep it moving. I mean, the whole planet's affected, right? So, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
exactly. But I do agree with you. It is kind of calm. It is kind of like nice to like, have an excuse to stay at home and just do nothing.
No, I mean, I've been doing plenty of shit.
Oh,
It's
really?
oh yeah. I've been still making the videos and yeah, doing plenty of stuff. I mean, I'm not getting bored. Um, so you just got to make the best of it.
Yeah, that's what's up. So let me pull up your website, man. Let's show everyone who keep it simple Bitcoin is. Let's go to the homepage. First of all, it's a dope website. It's better than mine. Did
A
you
cold
just,
card, that's a good cold card video.
did you make this yourself? Yeah, dude. So how did that work? Like, did you contact them? Did they like your work? Because I've also pulled some of the I did one tutorial for them, which was basically how to show your cold card balance on the Blue Wallet, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before they added that functionality. But I know how does that relationship work with them?
Oh, we were going back and forth. They liked the videos, and so they wanted me to make specific videos for, per feature, and they can use it however they want. Yeah. So
So
I'm sure as they add features, we'll make more videos. But I'm a big fan of their product. Um, I'm a big fan of how they run the company, and so I made the videos from the get go because I like the product. Like I don't make videos about shit that I don't like, and there's a ton of shit out there that I don't like. Uh, so keep it simple is just all about helping people find quality Bitcoin
tutorials.
software, hardware. Yeah, just to find quality stuff. Like I want all my videos to even if it's indirectly help people to understand like why your privacy is important, why doing certain things are important, why Bitcoin is important for certain, it's like, no, I'm not jamming it down their throat, but it's like, look, this is how you want to set up your wallet. And these are the things you need to consider, because most people do not consider most of these things, especially when they're new into Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is a difficult thing to grok. Are you familiar with the term grok?
I am not, no.
So grok is it's from a very famous sci-fi book by Richard Heinlein. I think it's called Stranger in a New Land. And so it's basically like, it's like if you understand something like in your bones, in your DNA, like you understand the fullness of it in all aspects, all encompassing. It's like it's like, I don't know, similar to like love. It's like you understand something so fully, deeply, completely, absolutely. And unfortunately, Bitcoin is the type of thing where you kind of you really have to. It's so there's so many different like things that you have to understand that the deeper you go into the rabbit hole, like you got to step your game up. Otherwise, you just are at the mercy of someone else. You're at the whim of someone else, right? You have to trust what someone else is telling you about how it works or what to do or whatever. So I want to give people the tools to do that themselves. And then whatever they take from the video, maybe they'll go learn about some other aspect of Bitcoin, or it will spark something for them and they can go along their journey.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think that, I think that the rabbit hole analogy is so cool. That's a really interesting word. I've never heard of it before. But yeah, man, it that journey that you have to like. Like the way that I describe it is a feedback loop. right? Because what I've noticed is that, and I was talking to Nick Camp Mine and you know, and it's kind of always the same story, right? People, from my experience, people kind of get attracted to the cryptocurrency in like world, or I say industry because I'm into mining, but to the cryptocurrency world, and they always start with like a shit coin, basically, right? Because it's like it's faster, it's this and this and that. But once you start getting deeper into the rabbit hole, once you start understanding why Bitcoin is number one, like why do you understand like why the hash rate is so important? Like once you understand why decentralization is the most important aspect of a cryptocurrency, then you kind of come to this realization where like, okay, yeah, Bitcoin is basically the only game in town, right? Like everything else is like a casino, right? So you know, like that feedback loop, what I've noticed like with noobs or like with people, it takes a while, dude. You know, it takes a very long time. And I always say like you have to pay the price of tuition, right? And the price of tuition is you're gonna fuck up, or you're gonna lose, or you're gonna trade some, you know, terrible shit coin, you're gonna lose some fucking money, and you're gonna learn the hard way. And that takes time, dude. And like,
Yeah, some
time.
people will. Some people will.
So, dude, I wanted to get your opinion on something. And this kind of happened the other day, right? So this happened the other day, right? And this basically happened. So All Star Mine basically had a 1 Bitcoin giveaway. And basically what he did was, and I'm sure you heard about it, he basically gave 8 words of a 12-word seed, right? Look, with 8 known words, there are 1.1 trillion possibilities, right? Possible mnemonics. So he gave away the 8 words, and he basically left that 1 Bitcoin in a wallet, and someone brute forced it in 30 hours. How do you feel about that? Oh, and by the way, they paid a they paid a 0.01 mining fee. They paid an astronomical mining fee because they wanted that reward so fast, you know?
30 hours. Yeah, well, I know that is it with a 24-word seed? If you split your seed up, or maybe it's a 12-word. If you split your seed up even in half, if they get 1/2, it is way easier to guess the other half. Like
It's
not
exactly half as easy to brute force it, even with the 24 word, right? So if you keep 12 words in one place, then you keep 12 words in the other place, it's exactly half as easy to guess the phrase.
I
Right?
thought it was more than that. I thought you had greater probability once you had a certain amount of words. I don't know enough about it technically. But keep your shit tight. Don't fucking Okay.
It's just super interesting. Like, look, and then like look at the look. So like my MacBook was only able to check 1,000 per second. It would have taken 25 years, bro. So this dude, right, the guy that got the reward, good for him. He had to rent out some fucking GPUs, man. He had to rent out some fucking server space and just dedicated all that to just brute forcing,
Does
right?
it say how much he spent?
It doesn't say. Doesn't say. I thought it was a super interesting ported all. Oh no, I mean the guy explained it. I haven't written this art. I haven't
He
read this
spent
article. Look,
$350. That's it.
That's crazy. $75 for free from Azure. So $350 worth of renting. Right. By the way, these GPUs are no joke. I'm sure he fucking rented some fucking 280 Ti's or some crazy shit. Right. So yeah, man, that's so interesting. So I had this guy, what's his name? So I had this guy on the podcast the other day. I had this guy on the podcast. Dude, and bro, we were fucking talking about AI and like the future of AI and all that shit. And dude, it was just like, and I was like, man, it was so funny, dude. I asked him like, are you a fan of Bitcoin? He's like, I wish I had some more. So like I thought that was so funny. So I was like, dude, like we're definitely in the right space, bro. Because if this super fucking mathematician that's like dedicated his life to like artificial intelligence is like into Bitcoin, like you know what's up.
So what did you guys talk about?
Dude, I talked to him about, you know what? I have the fucking questions so I could tell you. No, this is the CryptoKreamers guy. Oh, I think it's on my Mac. Okay, here it is. So I basically asked him, you know, what are you doing during the quarantine, like the basic shit. What is the current state of AI? What is the difference of how the human brain would solve a problem and how AI solves a problem? Can you talk about the dangers of AI? That was a really interesting response. He launched a study on intellectology, which is like basically the combination of like all these sciences that study AI, but he wanted to combine them because it was very difficult. Because like the problem, like when people were studying AI in academia, is that a lot of these sciences crossed over, but because there was no like standard or whatnot, like people were doing the same amount of people were researching the same thing but in different departments. So like it was like this is like a combination of those studies. And then I asked him like my personal belief, like this is the reason that I brought this up, which is basically my personal belief is that passwords will eventually become obsolete because of the increasing capacity of computers to brute force in seconds any passwords that a human could reasonably remember. Like and then part of his studies are in biometrics. So I'm like, do you think biometrics will replace passwords, right? And then he was talking about like, forget about fingerprints, bro. This guy was talking about every single thing that you do like on a subconscious level. And then like you can't mimic that, right? Because like we have AI right now. Like I don't know if you've ever seen those deep fake videos on the internet.
Yeah. So he's saying that it could be so powerful that they could just play out all the probabilities of all
They
those things.
they can't. That's what he was saying. He's
They
saying that
cannot.
they cannot. You cannot
Right.
totally mimic a human being's like antics, and it's so precise that it's like they can identify you just by you know, like you scratch your face in a specific way. It's a habit that you've had the whole life. That specific thing is like it's a sign that it's you. It's so biometric. And like he was explaining that to me and I was like, holy shit. And then I asked him like the basic question, like, who's your favorite AI character from like movies? And I was like, dude, like, you know, I kind of feel bad, you know, because I'm like, you know, like what everyone thinks of AI, they think of like the Terminator and the Matrix and like all that shit. Like what are your feelings about like I was like, I kind of feel like an idiot asking you that question, but like what do you feel about? And he's like, his response was super clever. He was like, I don't have anything against the Terminator reference. It's like good for noobs to like it was super interesting. Man, that was super interesting podcast. The guy is like a fucking genius, man. You could tell this guy just like fucking super interesting guy. But
Do you watch TV?
no, I do not. I don't
You
watch
don't.
TV at all. No, I only watch like the only entertainment I consume is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So like I love like obviously everyone loves Joe Rogan, right? But you know, like that type of stuff. But like what type of TV are you talking about?
Well, because there's a great show about this. It's called it's on Hulu. It's called fuck. I just watched it. It's really good. It's about this company like an Apple type company that develops this quantum computer, and it's able to through probability map out like all space and time, and so
Oh shit.
you can see all the time probabilities into the future and into the past.
Holy
It's a
shit. What's the name of the show?
it's oh, let me find it. I'll tell you right now. It's great, dude. Um, it's called Devs.
Devs. Okay. I
Devs on
wrote that
Hulu.
down.
Yeah.
Devs. Yeah, so it's actually really interesting you said that because so he said, I'm like, like I asked him a stupid question, right? Which was stupid questions like, what are the potential benefits of AI? And he's like, once we get to human level intelligence, like the benefits are endless. Like he's like mortality, cure cancer, like anything. Like, and I was just like, I was mind blown. I was like, holy shit. And that reminds me of like what you're saying, you know, and it's like, Like that's so true, dude. Like once you get to that level of like fucking intelligence, because like think about it, right? And the way that he said it was really smart. Like think about it. Like a human needs to like sleep, eat. You're tired, right? Your brain's not like, like, dude, it's like my third podcast today, so I'm fucking exhausted, right? Like you're not at your top level all the time. A computer doesn't get tired, bro. So think about it. Like you spend like what, 6 hours a day sleeping or 5 hours a day sleeping, right? Computer could spend 24 hours a day thinking about the same problem without getting tired, bored, hungry, sleepy, you know, all the basic things that we have in the human condition. The computer could just do that. And then when he said like it's like basically we could solve mortality. I was just like, holy shit. Like,
You know, it's funny. It's funny because are you're aware of like how Elon Musk has been warning about like AI and how
yeah,
dangerous it could be, right? So it's funny because I notice, in society, you have a lot of people. I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm just speaking to like generally a lot of people who glorify like computers and AI and like melding with technology, right? It's like this pinnacle of like achievement and like betterment. But just like homeboy was talking about, mapping out and probabilizing like subconscious activities, what about all the amazing things that like humans can do that people don't even understand, like psychics and like people that can, like tell the future. Now maybe you don't believe in that, but there are people who have had experiences where someone else has maybe said something and it's come true, right? Or there's so many things in the world. There's some people who remember other lives. There was this, I remember reading years ago, this kid in India who remembered another life. And obviously no one believes, well, a lot of people don't believe in that shit. But he was like, okay, I'm going to tell you where I was buried. And this is exactly ba, 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 ba. And they went and they dug the shit up and it was exactly like he said. And the kid was like 7 or 8 years old. I don't remember specifically, but what about all those things? Like there's so many, and like quote unquote, like amazing things that humans can do, yet our society is so hyped on like becoming computers and becoming
mm-hmm.
robots. Like it's so amazing. And I think there's so many benefits to that, but I'm not personally, like, I'm just not down with it because right now, every computer that we use and every system that we use is not like, it's like if you were concerned about someone being able to read your thoughts, how would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like literally, right? So that's what can be done right now with everything that we do digitally. And so, we take precautions and we do things privately and blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't matter because fundamentally the system has holes. And even if we plug those holes, there may be like, we don't know where those holes are. So it's a tricky thing, it's a real tricky thing because that kind of stuff can be used against you to subdue you, to fuck you over so easily that it's a very dangerous thing. And I'm curious to see how it evolves in the world because a lot of people are going to be like, chip me up, put that neural net shit on me. But you don't know how that's going to affect you. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea how it could be used against you, like in a nefarious way, purposefully, or maybe even not. Maybe accidentally it just fucks your shit up, Like, there are going to be guinea pigs. There are going to
Yeah.
be people who get, yeah. And yeah, so that's
Absolutely.
tricky. That's tricky.
Absolutely. I mean, so like I think that like what you're talking about is that like third eye type of thing, right? So it's like the best analogy that I can give you is like humans kind of have this innate ability when someone's looking at them, right?
You
So
can
like
feel it.
you could feel it, right? And let me give you an actual real life example of what you're talking about, right? Which is like we glorify exactly what you said. We glorify like this AI and development of things, but I don't think we fully understand the capacity of the human brain and what it's capable of. And
Right.
this AI guy admitted that. He's like, we don't fully understand that.
No.
We don't fully get it. And he talked about the dangers, right? But more interestingly, I'm going to give you another example because I love that that kid with India, and I completely believe it because when I was little, I was very lucky to have traveled to Africa when I was younger. I was very young, dude. I was very lucky, very fortunate, and we went we went to like Zambia or Zimbabwe or some crazy shit, bro. And I kid you not, okay, I swear this is a real story. We kind of went like on those like prototypical safaris, and you got in the car and whatever, and you have this white South African, right? And you have like an African, but like, man, he's like legit. This guy grew up in a tribe, in a village, like in the Sahara, like no, not in Sahara, like in the, like in the, I forget what the word is.
The book?
The bush type of thing, exactly. The guy was barefoot. He didn't wear shoes, and he was the tracker, right? And he sat in the side seat. And the white South African, he kind of looks at him and he says, like, I forget what his name is, right? But he looks at him, he's like, where are the elephants? Like in that like South African accent. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I swear to God, bro, this guy gets out of the car, walks a couple feet, like the tribesman, the African guy, puts his finger on the ground, smells it. He gets back in the car, and totally serious face, he looks at him, he's like, elephants 2 miles that way.
Oh, that's so cool.
We drive 2 miles, and the fucking elephants are there, bro.
That's awesome.
Like, what the fuck is that? Is that smell? Is that like an innate sense? Like, what the fuck? You can't explain that with science. You know what I mean? Like, is that perception? Is that smell? Like, is he connected to the fucking like nature?
Yeah, man.
What
Yeah,
the fuck is going
there's
on?
so many things. Yeah, there's so many amazing things that people can do and people experience. And it's, I'm going to make a segue back to Bitcoin, because something like that, like you telling me an experience like that, it doesn't matter how well you can describe it to me. It's something you experienced, and unless I experience it, I can't really understand it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Like, people think they can vomit Bitcoin on other people and they're going to gobble it up and just feel the same way about it. But it's like it's so many different experiences that get you to a point where you're even receptive to try to understand it. And everyone looks at Bitcoin differently. There's some people who look at it as like an investment. There's some people who look at it as a way to change the world. There's some people who look at it as just faster. Like it can be anything to anyone, right? Marty Bent, he's said it a bunch of times. I haven't heard him say it in a while, but I really liked it because, like, I feel like he gets it. Like, he gets it on like a whole nother level. He describes it like Bitcoin is this pillar of light in the middle of the town, and people are just attracted to it, and people are just coming toward this thing, right? And I get him because I can feel and see what he's talking about, because people are coming toward that light because somehow they vibe with that frequency. And people don't have to vibe with that frequency. Everyone isn't going to vibe for that frequency, but it's so powerful that it's this it's like gravity, right? It's like pulling people toward this thing, this amazing thing. And it's the more people that kind of focus their attention on it, the more that like pillar of light grows until it just encompasses the whole planet. So it's cool to hear other people talk about Bitcoin in kind of unique ways. Because it's funny about the Bitcoin podcast scene, like, I'm not knocking on anybody. And maybe I've just been in this space for 5 years now, right? But it's just like, it's the same. It's just the podcasts kind of get repetitive. Mm-hmm. People keep just talking about the same stuff. I really like, shout out to John Vallis. I really like his stuff because you can tell the dude's very introspective. He's done a bunch of psychoactive substances, And so he's very much into the economic aspect of it and like the world changing aspect of it. But then sometimes he'll kind of go deep on like on some just like hippie type shit, which I love.
On a psychological level. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because you get to hear and see people talk about it from a different perspective, and that's really cool.
absolutely. I mean, dude, the way that you described it was excellent. I completely agree. I think the quote for one of the best quotes, right, is like, I'm going to quote the Matrix on this. And basically, I think it was the second one, which is basically like Captain whatever, the guy that was with Niobe or whatever. He looks at Morpheus and he's like, Morpheus, not everyone believes what you believe, right? And then Morpheus looks at him and he says, my beliefs don't require them to. And that
Right.
quote perfectly encapsulates what Bitcoin is, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what you said is so true. Like, everyone sees it the way they want to see it, right? But their perception, right, which is just a great way of saying it. It's like, man, the fact that you weren't there, I could tell you that story, but it doesn't do it justice, right? So it's like, so when it comes to Bitcoin, everyone sees it from their particular angle, right? And their particular life experience, right? How old they are when they first saw Bitcoin, what they were going through financially, what they weren't going through financially. Venezuela is a great example. I'm Venezuelan, dude. So people use it over there as a lifeboat,
Oh, that's amazing.
People
Yeah.
use that
Yeah.
over here as a fucking investment to get rich, man. So you see this Venezuelan over there that has a fucking 5-year-old miner, and that miner is making him enough Bitcoin to feed his whole fucking family because of hyperinflation. If you run that miner here, you're losing money. So what you said completely encapsulates what Bitcoin is. It's like it's a shared experience. It's like, I love that analogy that you said. It's like the shining light in the center.
Well, that's Marty Bent's analogy. I mean, I'm just quoting what he said, and that's how he saw it, and I really like the way that he put that into words, because I agree with it. Like I like it, and yeah, he said it a bunch of times. He used to talk about it more back in the day. I haven't heard him talk about it lately.
Yeah, so it's excellent. It's a great fucking analogy, because that's exactly what it is. What Bitcoin is different things to different people. And wherever you are in the world, I remember, dude, this one kid, he was so happy that he got to like 0.0, he got to 0.1 Bitcoin, right? And it's like, you're living in the West and you're like, that's not significant. But bro, if you're living in like Bangladesh, or you're living
Right.
in fucking, like in an impoverished country, dude, that's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of fucking money. Like, people don't realize that here, because the cost of living is so fucking high, especially if you live in a big city, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, man, if you live in these impoverished countries, bro, these people are living on $1 a day, right? And like, what Bitcoin does, it creates this level playing field, right? Because like what a lot of like Bitcoiners have, like this misconception, right, is that the dollar is going to hyperinflate. Okay, hold on, dude. The dollar can't hyperinflate. Can I tell you why? Because the dollar is the world's reserve currency. That's number one. And there's this shady deal with the Saudis that we agreed upon in the 1970s. And it's called the petrodollar, right? So if you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, which has the purest oil, right? The oil that's easiest to refine, you can only do it in dollars. Right. And the deal was, if the United States set up that deal with Saudi Arabia, we would sell them weapons in dollars. Right. So it's like, if you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, if you're Russia, if you're India, if you're whatever, guess what you need? You need dollars. Right. And then we're the world's reserve currency. So what does that mean? That means if you're Brazil and you want to trade with Panama, guess what currency you're going to use to trade? Dollars. So you're going to need to have an account at the New York Fed, even though that has nothing to do, you're not even interacting with the United States, but you're still using the dollar in the transaction. That's how powerful the dollar is. So what does that what does that allow us to do as a country? We outsource our debt, dude. This whole thing with the $3 trillion printed, what people don't understand is that the United States didn't get poorer. We made the whole world poorer. We made the whole world take on our debt. Because right now there's a dollar crisis. People want dollars, bro. People want fucking dollars. The whole country, the whole world wants dollars right now. It's like it's needed, right? So it's crazy. And like Bitcoiners have this misunderstanding where it's like the dollar's gonna inflate, hyperinflate. And yeah, that might be the case in the future, but like, dude, it's impossible right now because the whole world uses dollars to transact. And what the U.S. government does, and this is why I have so much hope for Bitcoin, what the US dollar does is it fucking weaponizes it in the form of sanctions that I'm sure that you've heard on the news, right? So if the US doesn't like Venezuela, is a great example, or the US doesn't like Iran, right? We put sanctions. You know what that means? That means that you as a country, you could no longer interact with the global financial system anymore because the whole global financial system works on dollars. So we weaponize it, dude. We weaponize it. Like we weaponize the currency. I say we because we live in the United States. The United States weaponizes the dollar to like get its political goals. I don't think that's going to be the case in the future because I think there's going to be like a breaking point where it's like, dude, Bitcoin, and it's kind of like, it's weird because it's not capitalistic, but it's like, it's kind of like for the people, but at the same time, it's not socialistic either because it's very capital. It's very strange, but it's like Bitcoin.
Well, I don't think Bitcoin, you know, it's tricky. Regarding the hyperinflation, I mean, we could get into that, but I don't think even people need to be so concerned about that and the mechanics. It's more about loss of purchasing power, which we're already seeing. So this printing is creating less purchasing power per unit of currency, right?
Absolutely, man, but it's very slight. Okay, it's very
it's not
slight.
that slight because like meat prices, certain food prices. So you're seeing it already, but I think I mean, you know, I listen to a lot of financial podcasts, and it's kind of hard to tell when it will take place and how much money they're going to be printing. Like it's so complicated, and I'm not an expert on that at all. But I don't regarding Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin and
No, I mean the reason I brought that up is
the,
because it's like so essential. You know what I mean? Like that's what everyone talks about, right?
You know, Bitcoin is for the people because of the asymmetry of power and security. You know, I can hold $100 million in Bitcoin securely, and I don't require the same amount of force, security, money, infrastructure to guard it, right?
You could do whatever you want with it, bro. You can cross a border.
However, it doesn't mean that this is going to be like kumbaya and everybody's gonna get pulled up, because it's still it's limited in supply and people are stacking. I am certainly stacking, right? Everyone's stacking. It's a zero-sum game. You want to try to get as much as you can. And so I think over the long term, as economies are built on it, then just like net, well, if it's not crony capitalism like we have, if it's real capitalism, then as people exchange goods and services for value, right, for Bitcoin, they will accumulate Bitcoin. But they still need to do the same thing they're doing now by creating value and exchanging that value for quote unquote money. So it's not going to make anything more fair except for the people who are, I don't know, enlightened enough, awake enough, get it enough. You just, whatever the circumstance, the perfect storm that you somehow manage to get into Bitcoin early enough where you can accumulate enough that it'll change your life. But it's still going to be a lopsided system. Like the world will not evolve into this quote unquote utopia because of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is a step in that direction, but I think we are, you know, a couple hundred years away from that.
So in my opinion, of course, you know, it's what you said before, right? Like everyone sees it from in a different angle, right? So you have your perspective, like I have my perspective.
We have a different perspective?
What do you mean? Like, is that a question?
Yeah, because you're making it sound like we have different perspective. If we
Yes.
do, I'm
No, no,
curious.
no. In the sense that, like, my perspective is like mankind has always had that hierarchical system. And I'll give you an example, right? So in 2015, right, I was dead broke, right? I was sleeping on a friend's couch. I didn't have a dollar to my name, right? And, you know, like Bitcoin's pretty much pulled me up from the abyss, right?
Beautiful. I've been in that same situation. I totally understand that.
So,
Bitcoin didn't solve it for me, but yeah, I get it.
so why, like, why though, right? Like, why?
Why what?
So why, the question is like, why was I able to do that, right? And what I've noticed, right? And this is it was really good. This is what I tell a lot of people, right? Is that wealth isn't how much money you have. Wealth is a mindset. And I know that sounds corny, and I know it sounds gay, and it's and whatever you want to.
That's true. It's
Dude,
absolutely true.
if you think that you're, and I've seen this with people that are in severe poverty, right? If you're not hungry, if you're not like vicious, if you're not waking up every single day, and you don't have this fucking, like, I really believe in projection. So like, if you really believe in something, it like becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Mhm.
So it's like the world can never become a utopia because of that fact. Because a lot of people, right, especially like once you start going lower and lower on the economic scale, they don't have that intensity, that hunger. They have this victim mentality that's counterproductive to their success. Because like me and you, right, like we see it from different angles. I love what you said earlier on. You're more of you appreciate Bitcoin more on a psychological level, right? So I really like that, man, because it kind of gives me a different angle, a different perspective, and a different appreciation of it, right? So, but we both kind of have the same goals, right? Which is like we gotta stack as much as we possibly can, right? And we both do that, right? That's obvious, right? Um, Dude, it takes a special type of person to take that risk, man. Not everyone's cut out to do that. You know, like people got families, people have worries, and I've noticed that, dude. People don't take that risk. Like in 2017, when it was all popular and it was cool, and the taxi drivers, it's like whatever, dude. That was the worst time to get into Bitcoin, but that's when everyone was getting into Bitcoin. You needed a special type of person to hold through 2018 and 2019. You need to have some big ass balls, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So like this utopia that you speak of, it's like, bro, like perhaps we're 100 or
Well,
200.
I don't, what I'm saying is Bitcoin's not going to create that utopia right away being in the next, 4, 5, 6 decades. That's all
Yeah,
I was saying.
yeah.
I agree. I agree with most of what you're saying. And I think it's not even, I don't know, using the word special connotates like maybe, and maybe you don't mean it this way, but better than. And I don't think it's about being better than
No,
someone
no,
else.
no, no,
It's
no, no,
just,
no, 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 no.
you're the stew of all of your unique experiences, and that makes you think a certain way and see things a certain way. And so you just happen to come to Bitcoin. Dude, I found Bitcoin in 2010, and
Really?
I did nothing because my focus was on personal development and other things. So I got a blockchain.com wallet. I don't know what I did with it. I don't think I ever bought it. I don't think I did anything with Bitcoin. It was definitely in 2010. I don't remember exactly when. But when I got back into Bitcoin for real in end of 2015, I was like, fuck, I know I did something. And I was scouring my old computer. Like maybe I did something and I have some amount of it. And I couldn't find anything.
Anyways, man, this has been a super long podcast. Let's end it here, dude. I always end the podcast with I always ask people like, what's your favorite ice cream?
My favorite ice cream. Let's see. My favorite ice cream. Well, I like gelato. Gelato's dope, and I like a lot of the flavors. I would say like tiramisu gelato.
Tiramisu gelato. All right, dope.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because I'm putting in an Excel sheet of like all the people I've interviewed, and I'm just putting up their fucking ice cream flavors. I'm gonna make that like a Google sheet or something. Anyways, guys, I hope
You want to send you can buy me and send me some ice cream. I got a dead drop you could send it to.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the collab between Keep It Simple Bitcoin and the Crypto Creamers. If you guys like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe to both of our fucking channels and follow us on Twitter. All right, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.